Before we begin, let me ask you a simple question. Have you warmed up any leftovers in your kitchen this week? Perhaps it was last night's rice, a bowl of stir-fried greens, a sausage your child did not finish at breakfast, or the oil left in the pan after frying spring rolls. Most of us have done something like this. I certainly did before I understood what I am going to share with you today. 4 foods found in almost every Australian kitchen look harmless. Yet, when they are heated again, they may create conditions that, repeated week after week and month after month, have been associated with serious health risks, including pancreatic cancer. The saddest part is that families often save these foods for sensible reasons. They want to avoid waste, spend less, and take good care of the people they love. Please stay until the end, because there's a good chance that at least one of these 4 foods is sitting in your refrigerator right now. During more than 20 years in medicine, I have met many patients with pancreatic cancer. Some were not yet 60. They were active, still working, and still caring for their children when they received the diagnosis. Again and again, they asked me the same painful question. Doctor, why did nobody tell me earlier? I have never forgotten those words. The answer is not absent. It is often hidden in routines so ordinary that nobody thinks to examine them until it is too late. I am not making this video to frighten you. I am making it to share information that many patients wish they had received years before their illness. First, we need to understand the pancreas. This organ is located deep in the abdomen, behind the stomach, and surrounded by other organs. It can sustain damage without producing an obvious early warning. Liver problems may cause jaundice. Heart problems may bring chest pain. Kidney problems may cause severe pain in the back. Damage to the pancreas, however, can progress quietly. For years, even decades, injury may accumulate without swelling, visible changes, or pain that clearly points to the pancreas. When unexplained weight loss, persistent tiredness, mild jaundice, or a dull pain in the back finally appears, the disease may already have advanced through several stages. By then, treatment choices can be limited. The worldwide 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is only about 12%. In plain terms, out of every 100 people diagnosed, roughly 12 are alive 5 years later. I do not mention this number to cause panic. I mention it because it shows why prevention matters so much. Some opportunities for prevention are found in everyday kitchen habits, especially among older adults, even though those routines rarely receive much attention. Let us now look briefly at the chemistry. During the first cooking, heat naturally changes the proteins, fats, and sugars in food. At ordinary levels, the body can generally cope with many of these changes. A second heating may alter the situation. Much of the food's natural protection, its antioxidants, vitamins, and enzymes, may already have been reduced during the original cooking. Reheating can restart reactions that formed unwanted compounds the first time. Meanwhile, while cooked food cools and remains in the refrigerator, bacteria and enzymes may continue acting within it. In older cooked vegetables in particular, chemical conversion can continue even in the cold. Applying heat again may drive these reactions further. Think of this as a sequence rather than a single event. Cooking changes the food. Cooling creates a period in which biological and enzymatic activity can continue. Storage gives those changes more time. Reheating then adds a new burst of energy to a food that is no longer in its original condition. The second heating is therefore not simply a replay of the first one. It begins with ingredients that have already been altered by heat, air, time, and, in some cases, microorganisms. 2 groups often discussed by cancer researchers are nitrosamines and heterocyclic amines. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, which is part of the World Health Organization, has classified certain compounds in these families according to their potential to cause cancer in humans. Animal research has also examined their effects on the pancreas. These concerns have been reported in international medical literature. They are not simply kitchen rumors. Now, let us examine the 4 foods one by one. The first category is processed meat. Sausages, cured meat, ham, cold cuts, bacon, and the pasteurized sausages often served to children. These products have been processed and preserved before they reach the family kitchen. The scene is familiar. In the morning, a parent quickly warms several sausages in the rice cooker or fries them in a pan before a child leaves for school. At lunch, someone takes a few slices of bacon from the refrigerator and cooks them again. It is fast, convenient, and popular with children. Yet this is precisely the routine worth reconsidering. The message is not that processed meat can never be eaten. The concern here is repeated heating. During production, manufacturers commonly use sodium nitrite to preserve color, control bacterial growth, and extend shelf life. This practice is widespread in the processed food industry. Under certain conditions, nitrite can react with components of meat proteins and contribute to the formation of nitrosamines. In other words, processed meats may already contain nitrosamine precursors before you open the package. Heat during the first cooking can accelerate those reactions. Heating the food again, especially at a high temperature, may encourage further formation. The risk becomes more concerning when meat is fried hard or microwaved too long until the edges begin to burn. Compared with gentle warming, those overheated minutes can produce a greater concentration of unwanted compounds. Medical studies have reported an association between dietary exposure to nitrosamines and pancreatic cancer risk. The proposed mechanism is straightforward. Nitrosamines can damage cellular DNA. Mutations may then accumulate over time, and the pancreas is among the organs researchers have examined for susceptibility to this type of injury. No single breakfast determines a person's future. The concern described in the source is cumulative exposure, the same choice repeated routinely, perhaps every morning for years. That is why the focus should be on the family pattern rather than one isolated meal. Occasional use and daily dependence are not the same thing, and gentle preparation is not the same as repeatedly browning a processed product at very high heat. Please do not misunderstand me. I am not asking you to empty your refrigerator immediately or promise never to eat another sausage. Such an extreme rule would be unrealistic. A practical approach is to eat processed meat when it is freshly cooked, avoid reheating it, and never fry it a second time over intense heat. It should not become an everyday feature of the family menu. If sausages were cooked at breakfast and a child leaves some behind, it is safer not to refrigerate those pieces for another high heat cooking at lunch. Preparing a smaller portion from the start is a better way to reduce waste. The second category may surprise you most: cooked vegetables. This includes water spinach, sweet potato leaves, mustard greens, celery, kale, spinach, beetroot, and carrots. Many people over 50 remind one another to eat more vegetables. They are right that vegetables are an important part of a healthy diet when prepared and handled properly. The difficulty begins when a large plate is stir-fried or boiled for dinner, the leftovers are placed in the refrigerator, and the same vegetables are microwaved the following morning or at lunchtime. It seems entirely normal because so many families do it. But while the plate sits overnight, changes can take place that cannot be seen. Leafy vegetables, especially water, spinach, celery, kale, and spinach, naturally contain substantial amounts of nitrate. In fresh vegetables, or vegetables that have just been cooked and are still hot, nitrate is generally harmless and may even contribute to benefits involving blood pressure and cardiovascular health. Once cooked vegetables begin to cool, however, bacteria and natural enzymes can start converting nitrate into nitrite. Refrigeration slows this activity, but may not stop it completely. As storage time lengthens, more nitrite may accumulate. When the vegetables are heated, the next day, the remaining chemistry is altered again. Nitrite may react with amino compounds in the food and contribute to nitrosamine formation, the same broad class discussed in connection with processed meat. Food science literature has warned about holding cooked leafy vegetables for extended periods, including more than 12 hours at room temperature, because of this sequence of nitrate to nitrite conversion and subsequent reactions. International health authorities have also evaluated nitrosamines in relation to cancers of the digestive system and pancreas. Storage conditions matter as well as time. A refrigerator does not reverse changes that took place while a warm dish was left on the table, nor does it restore vitamins or enzymes lost in cooking. Cold temperatures mainly slow activity. This is why simply remembering that a plate was eventually refrigerated does not answer every food safety question. How long it remained outside, how quickly it cooled, and whether it will be heated Again, all form part of the routine being discussed. This is one of the most painful ironies in the kitchen. An older couple carefully saves a plate of greens because they do not want food to go to waste and believe the vegetables will protect their health. Yet storage and reheating may transform the contents in ways opposite to their intention. The vegetables themselves are not the enemy. The handling method is the issue. The simplest solution is to cook only the amount needed for one meal. That may sound inconvenient at first, but it usually requires nothing more than estimating portions a little more carefully. If cooked vegetables remain, cool them promptly and refrigerate them. The source recommendation is to use them cold the next day, perhaps as a side dish with rice or in a salad-style meal, rather than reheating them. The key warning is not to apply heat, again, to cooked vegetables that have been stored overnight. Let me pause for a moment. If this information is making you review your cooking habits, you may also be interested in my reference guide, Living Healthy After 50, Recognizing Dangerous Signs Early. It is not a dense medical textbook. It gathers the signs people over 50 should watch for and the small daily habits that research increasingly connects with long-term health. The things I wish I had time to explain fully to every patient. You can find the link in the description or use the QR code shown on screen. Please look at it whenever it is convenient. There is no urgency. The third category is cooking oil, including food that has already been fried and the common practice of saving frying oil for another day. Many people have heard that repeatedly used oil is not ideal, but few understand the chemistry or why researchers discuss it in connection with cancer. Let us walk through the process. When oil reaches frying temperature, particularly vegetable oils such as sunflower, soybean, corn, or canola oil, oxidation begins. High heat and contact with air disrupt chemical bonds in the fat and create new compounds. Three groups are of particular concern. The first group is aldehydes, including acrolein and 4-hydroxynonenal. These compounds can be toxic to cells. The second is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, commonly abbreviated as PAHs, which many people recognize from warnings about meat grilled over charcoal. The third is acrylamide, which can form especially when high-temperature cooking involves starchy foods such as French fries, fried bread, or sweet potato chips. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has evaluated compounds from these groups for their potential carcinogenicity. Some are described as genotoxic because they can interact with genetic material and contribute to mutations. Here is the crucial point about frying oil. Oxidation does not return to zero after the pan cools. The next time the same oil is heated, degradation continues from the condition left by the first use. The smoke point, the temperature at which oil visibly smokes and decomposes, can fall after repeated heating. Oil that has already been used may therefore reach damaging decomposition conditions sooner and at a lower temperature the next time. Even if the stove is set to the same level, reused oil may generate substantially more oxidation products than fresh oil. Appearance can be misleading. Used oil may still look clear after crumbs are strained out, and it may not smell particularly unpleasant once it has cooled. Neither observation returns the oil to its earlier chemical state. Filtering removes visible particles. It does not remove all the compounds created by heat and oxygen. Putting the oil into a clean bottle therefore changes how it looks, not what has already happened within it. Now combine that with reheating fried food. Think of a fried chicken drumstick from last night, leftover tofu, unfinished spring rolls, French fries, or fried sweet potato. Many families microwave these foods or put them back in a pan of oil to make them crisp again. The food surface has already absorbed oil altered by the first frying. A second intense heating allows reactions in that oil to continue. Compounds already present on the surface can undergo further change, especially in very hot areas. Microwave heating adds another problem. Temperature is often uneven. One part of the food may remain lukewarm while another develops an extremely hot spot. The overheated area does not always look black or burned, but it may be where the highest concentration of heat-related compounds develops. You may not be able to see the process, yet it can occur whenever fried leftovers are reheated. The practical change is clear. Whenever possible, eat fried food soon after it is cooked and avoid heating it a second time. Do not return it to hot oil. If warming is absolutely necessary, the source suggests using an oven at a low temperature around 150 degrees Celsius so the food warms more evenly, rather than frying it again or using a microwave on high power. Oil that has already been used for frying should not be cooled, filtered, capped, and saved for the following day. Even when a large amount remains, keeping it is not a worthwhile economy. If waste concerns you, start with less oil, fry smaller batches, and use only what is needed. That is the more sensible way to save. The fourth food is rice. Its main risk differs from the first three. Here, the concern is not primarily a heat-created chemical compound, but toxins produced by bacteria. Let me ask another honest question. Does your family cook one large pot of rice in the morning and eat from it all day? Do you cook rice at night for breakfast the next morning? Do you leave the rice cooker on keep warm from morning until evening, or warm the same rice several times? These habits are extremely common in Vietnamese homes, particularly in busy or multi-generational families. Their convenience is easy to understand. Still, we need to know what may happen inside the cooker. Boiling kills most bacteria in rice, but spores of Bacillus cereus can survive normal cooking temperatures. Spores are a dormant, highly resistant form of the organism, and they can remain within the cooked grains. When rice cools below about 60 degrees Celsius, surviving spores may germinate and bacteria can multiply. During growth, Bacillus cereus may produce two types of toxin, one associated mainly with vomiting and another associated mainly with diarrhea. This is the detail I want you to remember. Reheating may kill many active bacteria, but it does not necessarily destroy toxins that were produced while the rice sat at an unsafe temperature. Some of these toxins resist heat. A microwave may not eliminate them, and boiling the rice again may not remove them. The organisms may die while the toxin remains in the food. In the short term, exposure can lead to vomiting, stomach cramps, and diarrhea. People sometimes experience these symptoms without identifying the cause. They may assume they simply had an upset stomach and never connect the illness to rice that had been sitting in the cooker since morning. This also explains why reheated rice can taste and smell normal, yet still cause a problem. Food contaminated with toxin does not always announce itself through a sour odor, unusual color, or visible mold. Judging only by the senses may therefore provide false reassurance. The relevant questions are how the rice was cooled, how long it remained warm or room temperature, how it was stored, and whether it has already been reheated. The source also links repeated irritation from foodborne toxins with inflammatory responses in the gastrointestinal tract. The body may recover from an occasional episode, but recurrent inflammation over months and years is discussed in cancer research because chronic inflammation is a recognized pathway associated with cancers of the stomach and bowel. The connection between long-lasting inflammation and cancer is a well-established principle in modern oncology, although every individual episode does not mean that cancer will occur. Now consider the keep warm function. Many people assume rice is protected because it still feels warm. However, a cooker's holding temperature may not always remain high or uniform enough to prevent Bacillus cereus from multiplying. Rice can feel warm to the hand without every part of it being held at a reliably protective temperature. During 6, 8, or 10 hours in the pot, bacteria may remain active in cooler areas and produce toxins. The practical rules for rice are easy to remember. First, if the rice will not be eaten immediately, cool it promptly. The source recommends allowing no more than about 1 hour before transferring it to a clean glass container and placing it in the refrigerator. Do not leave cooked rice at room temperature for longer than that. Second, do not depend on the rice cooker's warming function all day. It may provide less protection than you think. Third, keep refrigerated rice for no longer than 24 hours. After that point, discard it rather than taking a chance. Fourth, if rice is reheated, make sure it is steaming and evenly hot all the way through. Rice that feels hot at the surface may still have a cold center. Finally, reheat a portion only once. Do not warm the same batch repeatedly throughout the day. Better still, cook an amount appropriate for each meal instead of making one enormous pot for the entire day. It may require another 20 minutes, but it reduces repeated opportunities for bacterial growth and toxin accumulation. Let us bring the whole discussion together. We have 4 food groups and 4 related mechanisms, united by one ordinary habit: saving cooked food and applying heat again. Over years, the body may be repeatedly exposed to chemicals, oxidation products, or bacterial toxins without giving an immediate warning. Notice that the advice is not identical for every food. Processed meat raises a nitrite and high heat concern. Stored leafy vegetables involve nitrate conversion and subsequent reactions. Fried food carries forward changes already produced in oil. Rice requires attention to spores, bacterial growth, and heat-resistant toxins. Treating every leftover in exactly the same way misses these important differences, even though the practical theme cook sensible portions, cool promptly where appropriate, and avoid unnecessary reheating is shared. First, processed meats such as sausages, ham, bacon, cured meat, and cold cuts contain nitrite-related precursors. Heating them again at high temperature may encourage additional nitrosamine formation. Dietary nitrosamine exposure has been studied in relation to pancreatic cancer. The practical message is to eat these products freshly cooked, avoid reheating them, and keep them as an occasional rather than daily food. Second, cooked leafy vegetables such as water, spinach, sweet potato leaves, mustard greens, celery, kale, and spinach naturally contain nitrate. During cooling and storage, nitrate may be converted to nitrite. Further reactions involving nitrite may contribute to nitrosamine formation, particularly when heat is applied again. Prepare only what you need and do not reheat cooked greens that have been kept overnight. Third, repeatedly heated oil undergoes continuing oxidation. It can produce aldehydes and other compounds of concern, while high-temperature cooking of certain foods may also involve PAHs or acrylamide. Eat fried foods soon after cooking, avoid frying them a second time, and do not save used frying oil for reuse. Fourth, cooked rice can contain heat-resistant spores of Bacillus cereus. If rice cools or remains too long at an unsuitable holding temperature, bacteria may multiply and produce toxins, some of which can persist after reheating. Cool and refrigerate rice promptly, keep it no longer than 24 hours, heat it thoroughly and evenly, and reheat it only once. These are 4 small kitchen changes. You do not have to abandon every favorite food or redesign your whole diet. The goal is to reduce repeated exposure to the compounds and toxins being watched by food safety and cancer researchers. If you want to learn more about warning signs that deserve attention after age 50, my ebook, Living Healthy After 50, Recognizing Dangerous Signs Early, may be useful. You will find the link below the video, or you can scan the QR code on screen. Read it when the time feels right. Before closing, I want to add an important qualification. The information in this video draws on food biochemistry, cancer research, and materials from international health organizations. It is presented for education, not as a personal diagnosis or a substitute for medical care. Each person has a different body, medical history, diet, and set of risk factors. If you have a particular symptom or health concern, speak directly with your own doctor. That clinician knows your health record and personal circumstances better than a general video ever could. My purpose is to help you become better informed, ask more useful questions, and make thoughtful choices before a preventable problem becomes harder to address. If this video helped you, please share it with relatives and friends, especially the person who cooks for the family every day. Many adults over 50 still warm yesterday's rice or vegetables each morning without ever considering what may have changed during storage. Share this not to frighten them, but to give them time to review the habit for themselves. Subscribe if you would like to continue this conversation. Next week, I will discuss 5 products frequently advertised as healthy, even though the scientific evidence tells a more complicated story, particularly for people over 60. Your health is worth more than whatever can be saved from one plate of overnight vegetables, one pot of old rice, or one pan of used oil.